these are probably the drum heads for the bass drum. All right, yep. The biggest reason why I got this kit was actually the size of the bass drum. It's 20 inches, but it's really shallow, as you'll see. So like the 20-inch size it's going to have a little beef to it, but it's going to be a really small footprint on stage. And that's, you know, that's what you're looking for in a kit like this. There's the Yamaha tom boom arm. Classic. And this is the stuff for the bass drum. You've got your lugs. Let's see, these are floor tom legs. Very cool. See, this box is empty. All right, we're back. So they put an empty box in there, I think just to make it work space-wise. But I'm thinking, oh man, was this supposed to be the tom? But no, we get all the drums here. So there's the tom right there. I just opened that box a second ago. Snare drum was sitting right inside the bass drum. And the floor tom, which also has snare capabilities, has a snare throw off, which is really cool. I immediately thought of Let's Stay Together, Al Jackson on the drums on that. And if you put the snares on, you can probably get that sound. So pretty cool. Looks like they're coming with the stock heads are coated single ply, which will be just fine. But eventually, you know, probably pretty soon, I'll put my own brand new heads on there. All right. Looks like the hoops are, yeah, there they are, just taped to the bass drum a little bit. And just some packing material in here to keep it from getting all scratched up. All right, there's the kick. So 20-inch kick, but very shallow. So when you're sitting behind this. All right, well, we got the bass drum ready to go. Just looking at the shells, they're birch. And I've never actually had a birch kit before. I usually go for maple. But we're gonna throw the front head on, but the shell like looks really nice. The seam is put together really nicely. Yeah, looks great. It's got the Yamaha bass drum spur. Looks really, really solid. And let's see. Let's get this front head on here. All right, so I got things set up and tweaked the tuning a little bit. So I'll give you my thoughts on this kit. Like I said, the main reason I got it was because of the bass drum. Is 20 inches, but really shallow depth. So that's that. I'll explain what I'm going to do to it in the future, but just to play it for you real quick. So the floor tom came a little bit higher pitched than I usually would like, especially the batter head. So I'm probably going to put new heads on this kit, probably all the way around, even though these heads I think are, you know, they're decent. I think they're pretty good. I think particularly the floor tom is going to need just a tweaking a little bit in sound. Right now I've got pitch bend, but I've only just begun to start tweaking them. The high tom sounded great right out of the box. And the snare was pretty close. I tweaked it a little bit. The bottom head I tightened a little bit, the top head just a little. So that's the sound I'm looking for pretty much out of the snare drum, I think. On the bass drum, there's no front hole in the head, which is a cool sound, but I think ultimately what I'm going to do is get a hole in the front head, maybe just a little bit of muffling inside, maybe like a t-shirt or something like that. And that way, you know, what I'm going to use this for is most often probably situations where it's going to be mic'd. So the floor tom is also a snare drum, which is like really cool. That was one of the other selling points of this kit to me, besides the cool size of the bass drum, was the fact that you can get a snare sound on the floor tom. So I need to tweak the sound of the floor tom a little bit, but it sounds okay. I feel like I can get it a little better. So just in messing with it just a little bit, I found that, you know, how tight you have the bottom head and the top head is going to affect that snare sound quite a bit, obviously. So I would think most of the time I'm going to use it as a floor tom, but on certain songs you can definitely get a much looser sound than the main snare sound. All right, y'all, now I'll show you what I did to the kit. So the kit came standard with these Yamaha batter heads, which are definitely decent, but I wanted to kind of start over and do my own thing. So snare drum, I went with a Remo snare side head on the bottom, and I just went with a Remo coated ambassador for the top, and the snare sounding great. On the toms, so the floor tom, as you know, it's also a snare drum. So the floor tom came with the bottom head being a snare side head, really thin. And I wanted to get more of a floor tom sound out of this drum first, and then, you know, a snare drum second. So with these 2-ply Emperor heads, color tone, I got a really thick, fat sound, and I've got clear ambassadors Remo on the bottom. One little moon gel right there. So that's the sound I'm going for from this kit, is that type of thing. And same thing with the high tom. You can't really see the blue color. There you go. Yeah, so blue top head and a clear ambassador on the bottom. The bass drum, I'm planning on using this kit as a kit that's still going to be mic'd. You know, the bass drum's going to be mic'd. So I ended up going for an Evans EQ3 front head with the hole cut in it already, and a little bit of muffling inside, like a big sweatshirt inside. So that's the sound I'm looking for from this kit. And then the batter head is a Remo color tone Power Stroke, also blue, just like the toms are. So the only reason the snare isn't blue is because I wanted that coating that the coated heads give you. All right, so here's the floor tom with the snares off. And the snares on. So definitely a funky sound. But definitely cool, and I can see using that on a number of different, grooves or songs. Maybe, a little solo just to add a different color. But anyway, like I said, I really want this to be a floor tom first and foremost, and definitely got that out of a smaller shell size. Sounds great. Same thing with the other tom. Really happy with those. And the snare also sounds awesome. Just one moon gel there. I found when I was tuning up the snare that it definitely seems to sound better when you get into the higher tuning range. You can definitely tune it lower as well. But anyway, that's what I'm doing with the kit on the toms and the snare. All right, so let me show you how I am packing this thing up. This is a 22 by 18 bass drum bag, and the whole kit fits in here. So there's the floor tom on top. I've got the 10-inch tom in an old 10-inch drum bag that the zipper doesn't work in anymore. I've got the 13-inch snare in a drum bag that the zipper doesn't work in anymore. And then the kick drum down below. So the kick drum spurs, I just kind of leave them out on the side here. It seems to be working great. So kick drum goes on the bottom. Then you got your snare drum protected by something, right? Then the 10-inch tom kind of squeezes in on the side here. It's only a 10 by 5. So that kind of fits right there. You throw the floor tom on top. And there you go. The whole kit in one bag. And it's not easy to carry. It's not crazy, but definitely not light. So this would be a situation where you could use your two-wheeler. Or if it's a really small club and short load in, just schlep it just like that. It's got some handles on it and a strap. This particular one, I got a drum seeker is this particular one. But anyway, the whole kit in one bag. Pretty sick. All right, there you go, Yamaha Stage Custom Hip. It is hip, and you can make it work for you.